So astrology, it's not an exact science, is it? That's what most people ask me. So here's the big question. Is there some truth to astrology? So you see, the main issue here is that for some people, they think astrology is just bogus. Right? There's no scientific proof to it. Nobody's been able to prove that astrology works. But you know, there's a concept that I want to sort of put out here, okay? When we talk about science, we think about things that can be proved by mathematics. It has some kind of physics or chemical kind of reaction to it. You see, it's very simple when we can measure something. So if we can explain how one thing leads to another, you know, you poke me in the arm and it sends radio waves up to the brain and it tells me, oh, it's pain, right? So this is what most people accept as science or that something can be explained. You see, the thing about astrology is that since time immemorial, I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody really knows how long astrology has been around in human history. And right from the very start, astrology has always been about humans. Human behaviours, your tastes and preferences, why your desires, things that you hate, things that you love. I'm not sure if there's ever going to be a science behind it, because even if you put astrology aside, take it out of the picture, there are many other causes of studies in the world right now that are studying humans. And we talk about sociology as human studies, even urban studies, how cities grow, how people react to political policies. The truth is, the best we can do is sort of look at patterns. We see how people react to things. You start to notice after a while that some people exhibit specific patterns and behaviours. But is it ever going to come down to an exact science? I don't know. I mean, we've tried to make psychology a science. We've tried to make psychiatry a science. And in fact, you know, if you think about the study of medicine, right, which is, most people like to say, well, medicine is a science, but you know, let's talk about something like, say, Parkinson's. You know, you can have a disease like Parkinson's and perhaps a drug could work for, say, 99% of the cases, but there's always going to be that tiny percentile for which the drug just makes things worse. You know, and the reality is that humans are just so varied, they are so individual. It's really hard to say. But you know, 99% of women might do something. There's always just that one crazy woman who will just do something else. So this is one of the beauties of astrology, that it's always been a tool. And I like to think of astrology as a profiling tool, much like how we're using enneagrams, numerology, or DISC profiles, and several other types of profiling tools nowadays. It is a way of understanding people, why they like what they do, why they don't like what they do. And the beauty about astrology is that it comes down to a specific individual. Personally, I love profiling. I've studied just about, you know, any profiling tool I can find. I've personally found that no profiling tool, and I know I'm on a YouTube video saying this, but I've never found any profiling tool that comes anywhere close to the precision of astrology. That means that we can even see what kind of behaviours are triggered, say, in a boardroom, versus for the CEO to go home and deal with his 4-year-old daughter, who's so cute, and you know, he turns to marshmallow when he's with her, even though he's one tough cookie in the boardroom. So the thing is, most profiling tools pretty much give you, oh, this person's like this, or they might get triggered by this. But astrology gives you different triggers for, you know, anything down to sexual behavior, expenditures, what things you'd be willing to spend a lot of money for, and some things, you know, over your dead body, you're never going to spend a cent on it. So the thing about astrology is, one thing I really like about astrology is that it's really evolved. I think there are some very old profiling tools that have still been set in the past, and astrology has been linked very much with predictions, which is one of the reasons why we get a reputation for being fortune tellers for, like, I don't know, hundreds of years now. So there are some branches of astrology around the world outside of Western astrology. Common ones are like Indian astrology, Chinese astrology, which I'm familiar with. I'm ethnic Chinese. But the focus is still on what's going to happen. Right, I've met this guy, do you think I'll marry him? Yes or no? You know, and it's always been down to that. But I think Western astrology has really evolved in the sense that we've started including things like psychology. Many of the practitioners of Western astrology have actually professional degrees in psychology, in counseling, in social work. Many of them have had professional experience with all kinds of human type studies. Quite a few of my instructors at IAA, International Academy of Astrology, where I graduated with a college diploma in modern astrology. Most of these instructors have experience with human resources, various other branches of life, really. And we started integrating these skills together with astrology as a profiling tool. And what we've seen today is that lots of astrologers are developing ways of like things like psychological astrology, family astrology, even branches of medical astrology. Not so much as doctors, but to see how human behaviors and emotions are potentially psychosomatically causing illnesses. So if you're going to have a tummy ache, and if you've noticed that some people have tummy aches just before a PowerPoint presentation, and you start to realize it may have nothing at all to do with what you ate for lunch, but rather the fact that you're terrified about giving a presentation in front of a lot of people. So astrology is even starting to look into human behaviors such as these, which perhaps some of the traditional sciences that we've been studying may not be able to explain. So going back to, is there some truth to astrology? Well, I mean, yes, definite yes. I mean, as far as astrology is a tool to understand humans and our behaviors, of course there's some truth to astrology. And just as we've noticed patterns in people's behavior. So really, this is it's such a huge topic. I want to hear your views. Tell me what do you think? Have you noticed that there are truths to astrology? And if you think it's bogus, tell us why. Right? So leave your comments at the end of this video. And so of course, as with all my videos, I encourage everybody to try out my chart generator. You can go to the link also at the bottom of this video. So that you can have a look at how complex your chart is. It's possible that you might know astrology as only just one sign. You might think you're a Cancer, but you might be quite surprised to find that you might have your moon in Scorpio or Pisces, for example, which could give you a very big, a completely different slant to your personality. So for more of such compelling content to do with astrology and human behavior, do like, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook and Instagram. Most people who see it for the very first time, it looks like a mess of symbols and numbers.